I'll go live. Hello, everybody. This is weird because I'm going to be talking to my phone and I'm going to be talking to you guys real quick. I'm say hi to the nice internet people. We're live on the Dave Wonder channel. We're hanging out. I'm going to see if I can actually get this to work. But it is. We're big beefy boys.
We're starting early.
That's it. Well, no, I'm just setting this live to let people come on in and see if I can actually get this to work with the fantastic tripod that is a Des Moines Con stand. There we go. That's all of us. Look. There we go. Come on in.
Hey, you want to trade glasses?
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Okay.
Oh wait, is this a thing?
Yeah, he's about to get fucked up.
No.
This is nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is boring.
I feel like I'm tilting.
Yeah, buddy.
I feel like I should
Welcome.
wear my glasses.
I know, right? Here, hold on. There we go. Now it's having
There
it.
we go.
Oh nope. Just
Yeah.
kidding. Sorry.
I'm like negative 650 in my eyes.
I have no
Dave,
idea.
I'm very sorry. I just have to eat.
That you do. That's okay. Everybody stare at Lan while he pours dressing. Yeah, Lan.
Oh,
No.
no. Oh, no, my kinks.
Oh, don't like that. I don't need that.
How are you, Dad?
I'm well.
Anyways,
Are you local?
I am.
yeah. I told you that. Anyways, welcome to Let's Talk Toys. We're going to be talking all things customizing, collecting, just general toy nerdology. We got a fantastic panel up here. In case you don't know who they are, I'm going to launch it down to the one that's eating first because I'm a jerk, so he can introduce himself. We are also live on the Dave Wonder channel, so we'll be popping on for questions on there too. But real quick, we'll start with Lan, go to Daniel, pop to Kyle. So Lan.
Hey, my name is Lan. I'm the director of comics programming and relations for all of Nerd Treat shows. But outside of that, I'm an entertainment writer. I've been at GameSpot, comicbook.com, Newsarama, Entertainment Weekly. Now I'm at TV Guide and TV Insider. And I'm really hungry. So, but I'm also, outside of that, also, I'm a huge toy collector. I've been on Dave's show dozens of
Many times.
Yeah. Talking about all things toys, the good, the bad, the tariffs. And yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to do this with y'all.
Okay, this is gonna be fun. Daniel.
I'm Daniel Pickett. I run a website called Action Figure Insider, also at Action Figure Insider on all the socials and stuff. I've been on the History Channel's Toys That Built America. I've written for Toy Collector Magazine and the Toy Book and a bunch of other publications on that sort of thing. So
Welcome, Daniel.
thank you.
Kyle.
I'm Kyle Peterson, and I'm just a song and dance man, really, at the end of the day. That's all I am. Yes. But I have a YouTube channel, Kyle Peterson.
You have two.
I have two YouTube channels with action figure reviews every single day. 4 videos a day to keep you busy. Got a podcast just started recently, the Kyle Peterson Show with my wife, and she's in the audience too. Shout out to Angie.
Your wife's also Kyle Peterson?
Yes, she is.
Surprise!
It's wow, we got the same name. It's really weird.
That's how they met.
That's how they met.
It was a driver's license snafu.
And I got
Wow.
2 books out, the complete guide to the Jax Class Superstars series and the complete guide to the ECW original San Francisco Toy Makers series. So a couple of books too. So like I said, just a song and dance man at the end of the day.
I don't know if I can top that. My name is Dave Wheeler. On YouTube, I'm Dave Wonder. I'm a comic creator, toy designer, lifelong collector, also a streamer. I've gotten to design stuff for Boss Fight Studios, worked with Master Public. I've designed so many logos that have appeared on some of my favorite wrestlers' behinds because I also do a lot of design work within the professional wrestling industry. On top of that, I'm down, like I said, I'm also a comic artist. So I'm at table 832 downstairs. Like I said, I also do YouTube. One of the cool things on there is through talking nerdy with y'all, talking toys, talking everything. I believe all of you guys have been. Well, no, you haven't been on, you son of a gun.
I have.
You have? Wait, oh,
I have,
one
yeah.
time. That's
Yes.
right. Anyways, we got to do that again. I do a marathon stream every year. I work with an organization called Extra Life, extra-life.org/participant/Dave Wonder. It's linked in the video description below. Anyways, that's for this, not you guys. Sorry. But I do a marathon stream. I go live for 24 hours. These fine gentlemen, along with many others, come on, and I've been doing that 5 years. And through that and my crew at Known World United, we've raised over $100,000 talking nerdy with y'all. And that's what this community is about. It's cool to see how everybody comes out and supports and comes together. But you all are here to talk toys, I'm guessing. If you aren't, I don't know what to tell you. I'm sorry.
You're in the wrong room.
Yeah, sorry.
I don't want to besmirch your live stream, but they can see all of us excellently and they can only see you from
That, they
notes-
see me all the
from notes
time.
down.
They see me. It's,
Yeah.
You gonna fix it? There you
yep,
go.
yep, yep, yep,
There it is.
yeah, what up? Yeah, hi.
You need
Oh.
a mic stand, a little extra.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, he's fantastic. Yeah, it does nothing. That's okay.
Side by side.
Also, welcome to the COJ. If you hear me referencing the COJ, that's the crew that is over on the live stream. That is the consortium of jackasses. I said at the end of the day, we're just a group of jackasses talking about toys on the internet. They said, no, not fancy enough. And I said, fine, we're a consortium. And the COJ was born. So, yeah, so if you hear me say that, that's the reference. But yeah, so we're here to talk about everything, I guess. I kind of left it a little loose because I figure we also want to keep it open. So if y'all have questions or if you guys want to start different conversations, we're here for that. This is part of a conversation and it's a good time. But real quick, I figured I'd throw a softball one over. But what got you into toy collecting?
Or do you want us to just,
Yeah,
is it a free form? Or do you want to call on people?
no, I figure we just go down. We'll start with you because then you can keep eating.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
So my dad was a district manager of Walmart in the 80s. And I don't know if you know this, but a lot of toy lines came out in the 80s. So,
What?
yeah. I was born in 83 and my birthday's in 2 weeks. And
Hey.
so, shameless plug. Yay, Gemini season. And so I had everything.
Great.
There was a period of time when I was 6 and I had everything. It was too much.
That's fair.
But it was all the superpowers plus the Hall of Justice plus Castle Grayskull plus every single multi-figure he could get. My mom was worried about me getting She-Ra, and Dad's like, who cares? So he was more lenient on that.
So shiny.
So yeah, exactly. So I had a lot of She-Ra, and I love Princess of Powerline.
Did you brush their hair?
They came with a brush, so
I know.
yes, as God intended.
Checking.
So, yeah, of course. That's what you do to your best friends. And so, and then I got into, and then the 90s hit, and then there was this little thing called Power Rangers, and then that struck like a meteor to Earth. And, but my parents were divorced, and so my mom, the soldier that she was braving Toys R Us and Walmart to getting me and my brother as much Power Ranger crap as we could, as she could just do. Because I remember I was with her when the Thunder Zords came out.
Ooh.
And so I had to help her like get things. Like basically, we were tag teaming because I already knew, being Jewish, Santa's real, so it doesn't matter. So I had to basically help her get as much stuff as we could for like the family in general. Being 11, I took that upon myself. And so that was basically it. I got out of it for a while because then I started really into like comics and they didn't take up as much room. And then you realize
They do.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, they do. It's just a different type of. It's a different type of shape,
They're heavier too.
but they still take up room. So I got into comics and then I went back. I got really into toys about 10 years ago again. And excuse me.
2 points.
And when I started making adult money again after freelancing, and then I started doing marketing and copy for Hewlett Packard, and that was stupid money. And so I started taking up room again, but that's when I went back and I was like, oh man, what was cool to have?
Everything?
Everything.
Yeah.
So now I'm a little more stringent on what I get, but what I still get is pretty nice. So I just got it was delivered yesterday, but I'm out of state. I live in Baltimore, so my partner was able to at least like, hey, you have boxes. Great. So I got the Despera from the Mattel Origins that just dropped, and then the Voltac on top of that because I missed him, and I was like,
Free shipping?
free shipping. I don't care. Sure. And then the other thing I'm going to do, my gift to myself for my birthday,
Oh,
again, whatever, Gemini season. Because I got started on the track of the Mondo 6 scale, and I can't go back.
That's fair.
I'm too in deep. So I'm going to get the basic Lion-O because they have the Thundercats license. But that deluxe Mumbra, already sold my soul. And I'm like, well, I'm all in. So those are two things I'm going to get.
Whoomp goes the credit card bill.
Well, yeah. Whatever. That's like a payment plan.
Yeah.
Sure.
Daniel.
Well, first I want to offer correction. What Lance just said, and Santa is 100% real.
Oh, sorry.
So because your dad worked at Walmart, it probably felt like he wasn't.
He had way better supply chain.
That's right. Yeah, so I feel like I was kind of a lifelong collector. I started with the Me. I'm a '70s kid, so Mego figures for me, Shogun Warriors and Micronauts is kind of what kicked me off collecting stuff. And then Star Wars hit, and that blew my mind, and I have been collecting that ever since. Um, and you know, there was a short period of time in high school when I was a theater kid, so I was doing a lot of plays and that sort of thing, and started getting interested in girls. So there were 2 years where I did not collect, like the last 2 years of the '80s, and then the Michael Keaton Batman movie hit, and then the Batman animated series came out, and Star Trek Next Generation started. And Playmates made those Star Trek toys, and Kenner made the Batman animated series toys. And from there, I was right back in, stronger than ever before.
Just when you think you're out,
Just when I think
they
I'm out.
pull you back in.
And I never got rid of all my stuff. I just, put it in the closet. But so I still have,
You went into the closet.
yeah, I still have the majority of my stuff from childhood. So
That's awesome.
yeah,
Kyle?
what's that?
Your mom's at.
Yes, there is.
Hey.
In mother's attic. That is accurate.
Well, for me, I'm just like Lan over there, a kid from the '80s. So I always think '80s was the best properties out there. You had obviously Star Wars hanging strong. You had GI Joe. You had wrestling. You had Thundercats. We'd go on for days. I could
Turtles, man.
Yeah, I can list for days, but He-Man is what really struck for me as a little kid. That's what got me into collecting, and that snowballed into GI Joe, snowballed into wrestling, and GI Joe wrestling are probably my two favorites to this day. I still love He-Man, everything. I never really stopped collecting my whole life. I've always been kind of wearing my loves on my sleeves. I'm a big heavy metal guy. I'm a big action figure guy, and I never hid that ever from anybody. And I always loved that stuff. Now I had a lull like a lot of people did when I was in college, because most college kids, we have no money.
True story.
And I wanted to collect, and I would still go to Walmart and Target and comic shops.
I think you made up for it.
Yeah, well, I'd still go and I'd look, I'd pay attention, I'd see what's going on. Yeah, I'd just pretend, wait. And I just dabbled for a while. I'd pick up a few key pieces here and there, but then obviously you graduate college, you get into the real working world, you start having some more funds, and it snowballs from there, Dave Wheeler.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know that, but now I collect a whole lot of stuff. If you check out my channels, there's everything under the sun. So feels like I collect everything, but if you really go back, I don't collect everything. I mean,
It's like
sometimes it's a
museum you have.
yeah, it's a
How's
museum of the house.
how's it you say? Sometimes it's so hard to say goodbye.
It is occasionally. Occasionally, you gotta get rid of some stuff, but lifelong collector, and I don't know. That's the one thing that I always wonder is, when do you tap out? I don't know. I haven't figured that out yet.
When you're dead.
I guess, and then my wife.
Then it's someone else.
Bury
my wife
me in
can
my
do it.
toy.
Exactly. So there it is. So
There's gonna be so many ruthless aggression figures just on
Yeah.
top of your. I also, I love that you made it sound like a trip. I dabbled here and there. I just tried one out every now and again. I've been collecting since I was a kid. A lot of my stuff growing up was hand-me-downs. I was the youngest of the cousins, so like I was the only kid in like '93 that had like a Starsky and Hutch lunchbox. So and so it's definitely one of those things like He-Man, GI Joe. Like I was born in '87, so I was kind of coming out of like the '80s franchises, but I didn't know that because we could check out the movies from library or Panorama Video or whatnot. And there was Plastic Crack right in front of me. So I grew up loving all that. I'm a big Turtles guy. I'm a big Webhead, so I love Spider-Man. So I kind of collect the stuff that inspires me. So if there's like artist-specific stuff, that became a big thing, especially with Toy Biz. And you had like Phil Ramirez sculpting like Michael Ringo sculpts and Joe Mad sculpts, and these ones that literally look like they jumped off the page. That became a huge passion of mine. Yeah, that's kind of where I came at it from. So it kind of just started out. I had an older brother, so he was always like, "Here." I'm like, "All right, cool. We're playing GI Joe. Here, we're playing He-Man. All right, here, we're playing Bottle Rockets. Oh God." Good times. The '90s were a weird time. Uh, but I guess we kind of ran through kind of the general stuff that that got us in that we still kind of collect. I guess that's something I am curious about because right now, I don't know if you all know this. There's a lot of toys out there. There's a lot of different styles. There's a lot of different form factors. But I'm kind of curious, like what is that thing that gets you to just stare? Is it nostalgia? Like that gets you to pick up that package off there? Like what is your I don't know what gets the item in your cart. Trying to think of a good way to put this. I had notes, but they're buried at my booth.
Oh,
That's a good question.
There was a cave in.
No, I think that's a really good question to start. Um, I try to be less impulsive now.
Good for you.
I say try,
Yeah.
as I'm about to drop like 500 something on 2 figures, but whatever. Um, I mean, there's some things I definitely pre-plan on, like the Eternia set. That dropped, and I was like, okay, well, that's a no-brainer. And you know, it took up way more room than I thought it would. So I already had to like move it like 3 times. But
Is it out of the box?
oh yeah,
Okay.
oh yeah, no, that was like
The box is a freaking box spring, dude.
yeah, no, unboxing that was hard. That was that was a whole afternoon getting the stickers on, getting it out of the box, which had other boxes inside, which had other boxes inside. Um, but I mean, the packaging was great. But yeah, that was definitely something I pre-planned for. But I really tried not to just give into the dopamine. Um, I fail a lot of the times, but it's not like, what's the worst that could happen?
Never mind.
Right, exactly. Well, for you. But yeah, I really try to. I mean, if it's a line I'm collecting, I'm like, oh, I don't have that and it's on sale. Great. Like there was a few times Motu Revelations figures were on sale. And I got a whiplash for like $9. I'm like, cool,
It's a good day.
perfect. Hordak was like, I mean, you got me the Shira from the cartoon collection for
Yeah.
like $12.
Yeah.
I'm like, great, cool. That's easy. The Nika stuff, when it rarely goes on sale, I'm like, I just mainly collect like the classic monster line now. Because
Like mini.
they have the really good stuff, but they just dropped that Ben Cooper mini line.
Yeah, yeah.
They are action figures of children in costumes with trick or treat
But they
bags.
look
They're
so
fantastic.
But they look so cool. And I'm so mad at it.
Not everybody knows who Ben Cooper is. I was just trying to clarify.
Oh yeah, no, but they look great. The Godzilla, and the Jaws especially were just like, that's so cool. And I'm not going to give into that unless Nika is like, hey, we're having our semi-annual sale, and I'm like, I got $30, sure.
For shipping.
Yeah, for shipping. Yeah, no,
Mm.
I like how shipping was like $20, then 30, and now everything's $60. Cool.
No.
I mean,
Nope. Nope. Nope.
not cool. Um, but not
Daniel.
So yeah, I've always, I've always been a Star Wars kid, so you have to put some parameters on that because they've essentially been making Star Wars figures since 1978. I currently collect 3 scales and the Jazzwares ships.
You don't want Bath Fun Ponda Baba?
Thanks.
No. Oh, go. Did you?
Uh,
It's not a real figure, man.
So yeah, so I collect the Black Series, I collect the vintage collection 3 3/4 and the retro figures.
So is it just the nostalgia that like grabs you?
Uh, yeah, but I do try and like set some limits. Like I'm not a fan of the prequels, so I don't buy prequel stuff. And I'm not a
Road racing.
wizard, I'll tell you that. Wizard. So I try and mostly stick to uh the classic, original trilogy, and then some of the Disney stuff, the Mando and the
Mhm.
Andor. I'm all in on those Ben Cooper figures. And here's a fun collector hack if you do collect those.
Uh-oh.
Five Below sells little packages of tiny candy, licensed candy, like ring pops and
yeah.
things like that. So if you want to fill the little Halloween bags with candy, Five Below has got.
Doubles as Halloween decoration.
Yes.
There you go.
That's always my pull out for the Halloween. Hey, we got to put these up.
So I was a Ninja Turtles fan, but I started with the Mirage comics. So
Oh, so very different launch.
yes, and I was always sort of angry at the
Yeah.
animated series. So now that NECA is making Mirage stuff,
Yeah.
like I'm all in on that nonsense too.
Yeah.
So, and as a lot of people know, I'm a huge Superpowers fan. So all things Superpowers and Superpowers pre-production, which gets real spendy. And then I've also got one of the largest Aquaman collections that started kind of as a joke and now has just snowballed into.
Your Aquaman shrine.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it started
It's
because
beautiful.
I was on eBay, I was able to get the original comic art for the mini comic of Aquaman. And I had that framed with the mini comic and a carded Aquaman.
Who did the art?
I'm not gonna be able to pull that out of my brain right now, but I have it written down.
Is it
A
Lopez?
lot of the art.
This was not, these were the mini comics, not the DC comic.
Okay.
So from there, I had that framed in a, red, yellow and blue thing. And
Yeah.
I was like, oh, well, I could put other Aquaman figures around it that I have. Because they don't make that many Aquaman figures.
I was going to make a joke, but then I can't. I have I have an Aquaman costume hoodie I wear on a semi-regular basis.
So I have a lot of Aquaman things too. So I'm always on the hunt for the newest Aquaman thing.
And all the toys to come Barbies.
That's right. We have a basement full of toys. That is correct.
Yeah, for me, I mean, a huge nostalgia collector. I mean, I can still remember back to me in 6 years old and saying like, this is the best my life will ever be. I remember just thinking that back then, like I
5 POA for
as
life.
a little kid, I just remember just being so happy with my figures and stuff. And I was a good kid. My dad will be the first to tell you, I never got in trouble because I knew if I did everything I needed to do on Friday, I'd get to go to Toys R Us, I'd get a G.I. Joe figure,
What?
like clockwork. So
Yeah.
I knew how good I had it as a kid. And I think a lot of it too goes back to that enjoyment of your childhood years, obviously, where I really enjoyed my childhood. And when I was a kid, my dad's been a collector since I was a kid too. So obviously a lot of that passes down.
Sure.
My dad still comes on the channel with me every once in a while. We do all the Universal Monster unboxings with my dad. So it's fun to do that kind of stuff. My dad was a huge into starting lineups. I don't know if you guys remember the heyday of starting lineups. I know you do for sure.
Yeah.
Wild times. And I mean, we would go toy hunting. My dad would get me out of bed at 7 a.m. on Saturday. All right, we're going to Target, we're going to Walmart, we're going to a card show, we're going to Venture. We'd run down and like living the dream as a little kid going that. And the fun thing for my dad is, my dad's a 6'8", he's like a giant. So he wouldn't run like back in the day. Some people, you don't see it
he
like you
lumbered?
used to in the day. But there would be lines outside of Toys R Us on like every day of the week, people to get in there.
Yeah.
Little Kyle at 8-year-old had no shame. I had no shame to sprint past all these people. And that's what I would do. I would do a dead sprint at the door. My dad would just kind of slowly meander there. I'll let Kyle get it all and I'd find all that stuff. And, the dopamine's running through and all that. So very nostalgic times of my childhood hunting with my dad. I still enjoy the hunt of action figures. I still enjoy going to stores, even if there's nothing there. We've all been there where you've hit 10 stores and found absolutely nothing. But I still find the enjoyment of that. It's just the thrill of the hunt. And it's just so nostalgic for me going back to my childhood. It's a little piece of that because we all get into stressful situations in our life. I have a very stressful 9-to-5 job or 9-to-9 job, whatever it is, most days.
9 to. Hey.
Yeah, it's 24/7 job. So it's a getaway that gives you happiness and stuff. And that's a big part of me is the childhood nostalgia and the escapism, I guess you
Yeah.
could call it after all
Just
these
gave me
years.
a great idea. Honey, you're going to be my mule now.
Yeah.
I'm going to need you to.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about
You
it.
Run to the aisle.
This is a conversation you don't do.
We'll talk about it later. I'll give you a.
Yeah. That's the way to do it.
I mean, I'm with you guys. It's a big nostalgia thing. The cool thing is it's that weird thing of a lot of those 80s franchises and stuff have become kind of that evergreen thing. There's new versions coming out all the time. I have a 2 and an 8-year-old at home, and so when Mutant Mayhem was coming out, somehow my 8-year-old found out the day that the toys were dropping, where they were dropping, and woke my butt up at 5 a.m. because apparently Target's open up at 7, and I needed time to wake up. So and it was one of those things that at first I was kind of pissed because I was like, what's this up? It's still dark out. And yeah, we ended up hitting like 3 Targets to find all the dudes, and like that was the coolest experience because he's like, no, I want to get Bebop and I want to get Rocksteady because they're both bad guys, but we need both bad guys because we need both bad guys to fight the good guys. I'm like, yeah, like cool, like let's go. And it was super fun. Oh, we got a question. It's true. It's also very true. But that's become kind of a new thing for me though of like I'm a big nostalgia collector, but I know I had to slow down. I got two kids, so their stuff takes up space. But like over the pandemic, my son and I collected the 2012 Turtles line. Just because you could get them dirt cheap, and the couple times we would go out, we would find them at like Goodwill. We'd find them at Salvation Army randomly, or Savers, and that became something that kind of relit a fire under my butt on collecting, because it was so fun to come home and just play with toys and make bases out of cardboard boxes and kind of relive that chunk. Like you said, kind of that nostalgia for your childhood, but also going, wait, we can still do this. Like you can still grab, a tissue box,
You can
chop it
still do
up, and
that.
make
They're
zip
ava-
lines.
The
And, yeah,
2012 turtles are available again in two different
it's true.
scales
Yeah,
now, so
it's very true.
you can recollect them.
I just, yeah, not at that price, but
But Playmates is doing
yeah,
re-release
oh yeah.
theirs too, so there's two
But
different versions out there.
And that's the thing is it's an anniversary year, or no, last year was an anniversary year. I don't know. They re-released all the series, 2003, 2012. Like Playmates is notorious for being like, we're going to use the tooling and make as many versions of this as possible, which is fun to see on the shelves. But thankfully I'm like, I already have that, so I can kind of walk on by. Um, but that's actually something too, because we were all talking about, collecting lines, collecting this. I know this guy has one of the most insane collections. You also have an insane collection. Land has an insane collection. But like, is it one of those things, like you said, you don't know when that point to tap out is, but like as a complete, like, are you guys completionists with everything, or is it like I need, I want this version of this or that version of that?
I mean, I don't think you can be anymore, and especially with those long running lines like Marvel Legends, like Star Wars, where they just keep, you know,
Yeah.
I 10 years ago I had a toy room in my house, and it had to
Now you
go
have a big-
away when someone was born, and as I
How dare you?
I know. But as I'm packing it up, I'm like, I have 10 different Justice Leagues and different scales and styles on display right now. How many more do I need?
At least 10. No.
What did you think of Extreme Justice?
Are you done like Total Justice? Is that what you
Total Justice.
Yeah.
The old Kenner figures.
Sorry.
I mean,
Those-
Sorry, I'm sorry. I always think of 90s because those things are.
they are extreme.
They
I
were
mean-
so muscly.
They were, yeah, it looked
Heart,
like,
heart punch Batman, for some odd reason his arms were posed like this, so you could really, I don't know what it was for, but I was just like,
I mean,
don't know.
there had been kind of such a wasteland of no DC figures for so long. It was exciting to see that again. They do look like they've had their skin peeled off them.
Yeah.
They do come with fractal tech gear.
They're so sinewy.
But then that morphed into that JLA line.
Yeah.
Just kept getting more, and we got like the hard light ones. So I have a soft spot for those guys.
Okay.
Plus, we got a Connor Hawk figure.
I think that was the first Kyle Rayner figure too.
Yes.
Isn't Chris Aquaman with the?
That was hook
The
hand,
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
In several versions. You can
Yeah.
get them with the gold or the
silver, gold, or blue.
I was all.
Yeah.
Uh,
To me, though, I mean, you can be a completist. I guess it depends how you envision it. Now, Star Wars is almost impossible. I mean, it really is at this point. But for me, like the one we were talking about that when you were over the other day
Yeah.
is the WWE Mattel Elite line. I mean, that's at 117, 18 series right now,
I think
plus about 1,000 offshoots of different pay-per-view series and stuff. And I'm complete. I think there's only two people in the world. The other one's Bill McKenna, the designer over there. I think we're the only two that have.
he
the
has an
complete-
advantage.
He
has
has,
an
yeah,
advantage.
he makes them, but
And just to be clear, he didn't say there's 118 in the line.
No.
118
Series of
Yeah.
4 to 5 figures
Yeah.
each,
yeah, I mean,
plus exclusives.
I forget how many figures we're at right now. 2,000 something at least. Part of that, and that's
Hold
all
on, we can
long
do the
term.
math.
Over
Oh, never mind. The
14
phone's right
years.
there. I'm done.
So
So, but as they bring out, because they do different costumes and they improve upon the scanning, do you
I am 100%. So now,
hold on to everything, or do you start weeding out?
no,
The
I
older
hold on to all of it, and you guys probably are familiar with. So Mattel's had the license since 2010. We're 15 years into it. Well, you make an iconic outfit for Hulk Hogan or Ultimate Warrior or whatever. Well, there's a lot of new collectors that weren't there collecting in 10 that are now. So we're seeing a lot of re-releases
From the
now.
vault.
We're seeing that is, as a longtime collector, I understand it. I put the business hat on. I understand the reason for that. But I like that they do give us, okay, now the hands are removable. Now the heads, we have different heads. There's a
Double
few
joint.
little tweaks here and there, but I feel like I'm in so deep, I can't stop. I can't stop now.
That's how it was with ER, watching that show.
Yeah,
I'm
just one more.
I'm just
Uh,
watching it. It's like at some point it will
Yep.
end and I will stop.
But I am a very compulsive collector, go figure. I mean, I am a completist in pretty much every line I collect, but I don't break it down as all Star Wars. Okay, G.I. Joe Classified. I get every G.I. Joe Classified thing. I get every single Thundercat Super 7 or whatever. So that's kind of how I compartmentalize it in my brain.
Right on. I mean, and that's kind of one of the fun things about it too, is also figuring out that, because like you said, there are upgrades. Meanwhile, like I think we're on the 14th re-release of the OG Playmates, like Turtles. So like,
Yeah.
and it's weird because now they're retooling the original tooling, which is what makes the actual like molds for the figures. And that's been crazy because some of them have not been retooled well. So all of a sudden it looks like they have an infestation in their heads and stuff like that. It's good times. But I don't know. It's interesting also to kind of think of like when, it brings in new collectors, it brings in new people to the line. Like what, like, do you think that's going to be an evergreen thing? Like because of those franchises that seemingly keep coming back, keep being revisited, keep being new and improved. Like, do you think some of these licenses are just going to run for Eternia or Eternia? Huh?
Yeah.
Or do you think there's going to be some sort?
He-Man wig.
Holy crap!
That's what you.
Look at that mustache. When that happen?
Hey, Brett.
Hi, Brett. The power is yours.
Yeah, I don't know.
I know that's
I
not
feel
you.
like it's definitely for a completist to do stuff like Power Rangers because Hasbro had the Lightning Collection.
Say
hi to the nice
people.
Um, and that bumped me out because for some reason we could have 5, 6 Tommies, and we can't have a complete Time Force. Like we got the Mighty Morphin complete, we got Zeo kind of complete because Cat was only available in a 2-pack.
He still made her.
Still made her, but you had to find that 2-pack that was some kind of exclusive. If not, womp womp. They barely started. They did finish the Ninja the movie Ninja series. And I think those are the only. No, I think they completed
But-
Dino Charge.
But they ended up crapping out because they had, what was it, Lightning, and then Super 7 was doing it, and then they were talking about the license switched hands to Playmates.
Playmates has it.
I think.
Yeah, Hasbro. I
Biffed it.
Hasbro fumbled so bad, you guys don't even know because they spent like it was what? How many billions?
They're licensing.
They're licensing it to Playmates, yeah.
But I mean, it's still like they have it. But then they did the movie and TV auctions for the costumes,
And sold them all.
and I think it brought in barely 2 million, like just under 2 million for
Some
everything. That's wild.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just sort of like there's no promotion. Hasbro didn't know what to do with this because there wasn't something to tie it to. It was literally just a toy line, and I think that's crazy. I think that's just like crazy. You don't know what to do with just a toy line. Like that's how Masters started.
Does anybody remember the era where Batman had every single color suit under the sun and somehow always had missile launchers,
Yeah,
despite not using guns? But missiles were okay.
missiles were fine. Sure.
Great. Yeah.
How else are you going to blow up the Joker?
Yeah.
Like, but I think it's really interesting now. So you have that model of like, what are they? The Legend of it was a Kickstarter 5.5 scale. It's a fantasy series. Thank you.
Yeah.
Nothing tied to that. They're just cool looking toys.
Oh, plunderlings. I mean, we also live in
I
like,
think that
yeah.
needs to be more of.
Well, and you're seeing it more and more because of the technological advances and the availability. You have a lot of collectors, like all of us here in the room, all of a sudden going, "Well, yeah, why don't we make a toy line?" I actually work with Lone Coconut right now, and they do a line called the Plunderlings. But again, they're just cool little goblin toys.
Yeah.
There's no big, huge mythos behind. I mean, there is, but it's never been told. But it's one of those things of it's just neat to see some of that and bring some new life and new collectors in too.
And I think the Four Horsemen kind of
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
kicked that off. They started showing that was
Gothropolis.
possible. Yeah, yeah.
With their
So-
and then Mythic Legions and everything like
Yeah.
that, it just became like this floodgate for customization, but also just like, hey, look at this Krampus we made.
Yep.
I'm like, cool, love that Krampus. What else you got?
Yeah.
Look at this Headless Horseman.
Here's
You know
some.
what? I like that too.
Oh yeah, Sun
Look at this
Wukong,
Jacob
everybody.
Marley.
Yeah.
You know what? We're just doing this now.
Yeah.
Like, we'll make that Jacob Marley figure does roll though.
It does.
I did not pick it up. I got the Krampus, but I didn't get the ghost.
You should get the ghosts. They're real cool.
I know. I want to.
And now they're doing them in Haunted Mansion color schemes.
They look real good.
Yeah.
But that's the thing I think is so interesting how some people, I mean, you have this $1 billion license. I'm going to harp on the Lightning series because they put so much money into it. And then it's
Land's not
gone.
bitter, in case you couldn't
No.
tell.
And the Ignition line is fine. If you've seen the Playmates Ignition line or Reignition line for Power Rangers, they're fine. They're totally fine. But they've already said up front, this is for like new collectors. That's great. That's fine. What are they, like $12 or something like that?
No idea.
They look great. But I'm like, man, I wish I could have.
Balkan Skull?
Would have loved that.
Yeah.
Would have loved that. But yeah, I can't even
Oh.
get my time force.
I worked with Bulk at 2 different companies.
They're both lovely gentlemen.
Yeah.
I've done many a show.
I worked with them at Disney and I worked with them at Gentle Giant.
That's crazy.
I mean, do you have an incomplete line that you're mad at?
Me?
I,
Well,
Oh,
no,
I do.
You had to.
Oh, yeah.
That's just
wait.
That's
What?
That's just stats.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
there's stuff there. I mean, incomplete as they like canceled, pulled the rug out, and didn't finish things.
Oh,
I mean,
okay,
yeah,
gotcha,
that's what I'm
gotcha.
thinking of. Yeah,
I was like, hold up.
yeah.
I'm one of one of my friends likes to say I'm a great fan but a shitty collector because I'm not a completist in anything. I'm one of those guys of like, well, I want the turtle. I'm gonna get the turtles. Cool, got the turtles. All right, moving on. Like, and I can do that. And like, I've legitimately gotten yelled at on the channel for being like, yeah, and here's this display. And they're like, you don't have this. Why don't you have this? I'm like, I didn't want it.
I feel like
Like-
that's easier to do with turtles because we all like have a
Well,
favorite.
turtles is just an example. I mean,
right. But
even
if you
legends
want-
and stuff.
Because I just have Donatello stuff for the most part.
Mhm.
But also, like, I love Slash. Love that
Yeah.
weirdo. Love that little freak.
Yeah.
And like, so I have a lot of Slash stuff. But
Nothing wrong
I
with
also like because he's gone through so many designs.
Yeah.
From like Mirage, from the animated series to whatever.
Don't mess with his binky.
I know. And
Still
then
weird.
then Krang. Krang also started off differently than how we ended up, and I like all these designs.
Yeah.
So I've got a line that I'm mad at that will not be finished, and that is the Gentle Giant Star Wars Jumbo line. As well as the Superpowers.
I forgot about that.
Yes.
Oh
So-
well, the superpowers is legendary. Like that Man Bat still would have been great.
Yep. So yeah, if you haven't heard, 2 weeks, 3 weeks ago,
They shit canned
the-
everybody.
The company that owns NECA's parent company, bought Diamond Distribution, which included Diamond Select Toys, which had bought Gentle Giant. And then 3 weeks ago, they let everyone from both those companies go just on a Friday through email. So there was a lot of stuff in the hopper and a lot of stuff that was pre-ordered and a lot of stuff that had to be in production that I just don't know what's ever gonna happen to that stuff.
No, it's between that. It's between Super 7. I mean, it's a rough time in the toy industry right now as far as that stuff goes, which really stinks because there are a lot of those toy lines that unfortunately I think we're going to see disappear, for lack of a better term. I was going to say flounder, but they're not going to flounder because that would mean that they'd have to hit stores.
So specifically, like with the Star Wars,
Yeah.
we got Cy Snoodles, and they took our pre-orders for
Is-
Max Rebo and Droopy McCool, and we'll probably never see those.
Did we ever get a Max Rebo?
Well, he was solicited.
Did you
He's
say
been
Droopy
sculpted,
McCool?
Yeah.
I did. All right.
the horn player?
Yeah.
Noted. All right. I had 2 Star Wars figures growing up. I'm sorry. I love Star Wars, but it's one of those franchises that I go, gotta run away, gotta run away.
Well, no, but I mean, this thing about Star Wars now is like, that's mainly Aubrey's thing. She has a lot of Star Wars stuff. Her main things are
Mhm.
like Star Wars and Ghostbusters. So Star Wars got out of hand for a hot second, but she's kind of like figured out her niche. I'm like, oh, I like that. And because my weird Star Wars thing is like, I love Jabba. I don't know how I ended up with so many Jabba things, but it just became like a thing. Like, oh, I don't have this Jabba, and they only made like 6 of these.
I was gonna say, how many?
There's only
Jawas
six.
are there,
There's
man?
only 6, and I have them all.
Oh.
So like, but when they started doing, because they just because we both were at Toy Fair in February, and they finally unveiled. Well, they had announced, but they finally had on the show floor Prince Shizor from Shadows of the Empire, and that was a cool line as a kid because it's like, who are these? Who are these freaks? What do you mean?
Flat top Chewbacca.
Yeah, love it. Yeah. And so when they were like, oh, well, this is going to be part of our new like legends, we're going to do Shadows of the Empire, so Shizor, and then they just announced Dash not too long ago, and I'm like, cool, well, I'm already 2 for 2 now. Like, I got to get the Shadows line.
We got Luke in that red armor too.
God, yeah,
Yep.
because
That 2-pack.
right, because eventually they're going to have to do Guri, which was Shizor's android bodyguard, and then if they do
Slippery slope.
right, exactly, if they do an Outrunner, which was Dash Rendar's ship, which had a cool design.
The Outrider.
What did I say? Outrunner?
Is that Outrunner? I
No,
thought it was
it's
Outrider.
the Outrider. Sorry.
Yeah, I was like, wait, what?
Yeah, it's okay. Outrider.
Some Mandela effect.
But and then you had Leia as Bosch, and then
She's in that 2-pack.
yeah, she's in the 2-pack, and there was somebody else. Oh yeah, Chewbacca,
Top Chewbacca, yeah.
Flat Top Chewbacca, when they were. But yeah, it was just I had never even heard of this, and then you realize like, oh, it's a book, and then now
It was,
And a video
it
game.
was the Star Wars movie
Yeah.
without a movie.
It was
That was
like-
how they built it.
because
Mhm.
but my mom had because she enabled a lot of my collecting, got me the Hildebrandt card series
Oh,
as a kid. So I was like, oh, cool. And the promo card that she got was a Vader card that she only got through like QVC or something. And it was signed by Greg and Tim Hildebrandt.
Oh, that's cool.
oh,
So that was a cool thing there. But yeah, Star Wars, I can't imagine. I mean, you have the guy with the Obi-Wan Ranch, is it?
yeah. Ranch Obi-Wan.
Ranch Obi-Wan. Yeah, that guy's collection is comically large. But there's even still more. I know. But this is just Star Wars.
Not in a bad way.
No.
But you know now that he's teamed up with Gus Lopez,
Yeah.
that they're making
Yeah.
3 super collectors,
Yeah,
making even a more giant collection.
which is again.
That sounds like the most metal thing. I'm just throwing that out there.
What now? The
So Rancho Obi-Wan is the one that
fan suite.
that Sansweet owns. But Gus Lopez, who I mean, he owns so much like movie use stuff and props and costumes and stuff. So and then there's a third guy that I can't remember. They're all coming together and forming this much larger museum and
Super
collection.
collection.
Yeah, for
Okay.
people to come and see. So
Okay.
it's pretty wild.
Yeah, but I mean,
Just to make sure that stuff is preserved
Oh,
and keep.
And one thing, because we're already past the top of the hour, so we only got about 10 minutes left. So I do want to put it out there too. If you have questions and stuff, please raise your hands because we're happy to. Okay, we got one right there.
How do you think the toy industry, companies like Dunn, NECA, Hasbro, some of the smaller ones, how do you think they can crack the younger market that isn't established? How do you think they can build franchises and successful ones like that?
so
I was going to say, actually, because we've been on a Star Wars kick, the Young Jedi series, like a lot of the kids programming that are coming out of a lot of these franchises that have been there forever, I feel like they are cracking the kids market. My 2-year-old loves, well, he's almost 3, but he loves watching that show. And he was talking about a speeder bike the other day as he was sprinting through the hallway with a stick. And I was like, "You all right?" And he's like, "It's my lightsaber." I'm like, "Sure is, bud. Let's go. Can we do this outside, please?"
yeah, that's what I was
But-
going to say about Playmates with the Power Rangers reignition line. It's at a smaller price point. They're not as like articulated. They don't look like garbage, but it's not the level that Hasbro was putting in. But it's still good. It's still, even when they have the Zords, they're easier to put together. They're not as clunky, and tactile. So I feel like anything sort of like that is not hard to crack if you do it right.
If you do it right. That
Yeah.
That's
Playmates.
that's the caveat.
You got to speak up, Kyle. I'm sorry. You just got to.
No. No.
Yeah.
I don't feel like I've ever
Believe in you.
got a Playmates or looked at a Playmates item and went, wow, they really gave it their all.
Right, exactly.
Like,
Yeah.
Never need to buy another.
Hey.
Yeah. They always feel like, it's close enough. Let's go. What's
Yeah,
next?
yeah.
But yeah, it is harder. And there's some of these companies like Super 7, they're not trying for kids.
No.
They are trying to make the stuff that they always wanted.
Well, there's toy companies and there's like adult collector
Yeah.
companies. Like you have Super 7 Sideshow, Hot Toys, all that stuff on like the higher end. But I
Yeah.
feel like you have Playmates still that's still pumping stuff out. You have all these other companies that are kind of like Hasbro even has a whole division dedicated to it.
Yeah, but
Which is
Hasbro
interesting.
is, with their new CEO, they are veering more into a licensing world
Mhm.
and not as much
stuff.
making their own stuff, which is unusual to see, but kind of the world we live in. And if you haven't seen some of this new stuff, it's like, it, talking about like dogs and cats living together, like they're able to make Transformers Hot Wheels now. And then there's Barbie Play-Doh stuff. So they
Yep.
are crossing the streams in a way that we have never seen before.
You just successfully put two Ghostbuster references into a Barbie play.
I personally,
I love you.
I personally worry about the future a lot for if there's that little Kyle out there that's going to continue on. And I hate to be gloom and doom, but I just don't see it. Unfortunately, I don't. It's not going to be like it ever was before. I hate to say that, but I'm around a lot of kids. I have two kids, one in elementary, one in junior high, and I see a lot of kids and I deal with a lot of kids and taste change. I mean, no different than like grocery. The bread of 20 years ago isn't working in this day and age. So things change, things evolve. There's different ways to go. Obviously, I think we all know kids love iPads and things like that. We see a lot of companies trying to tie things together with different like QR codes that bring you into a game with the figure. I think that's smart, but I don't know. And I see it just in like, I have a younger sister who, the old dream was I want to get a 3-car garage and a Corvette and all that. And now it's, hey, I'm fine with a little house and I just want to travel and I want time off. And where maybe in the 80s it was I want to have things around me that I enjoy. So
Much more
I mean, we've
materialistic.
got some kids in the audience. Like, what do you collect? Like, you collect Squishmallows for one. Do you collect anything? Pokemon
Hey,
cards,
right on.
okay, that's
Oh, that's
Wait.
that's the
TCG.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
And that's where I wonder
That's it.
where it'll go in the future. Will that continue? Will you get Squishmallows 30 years from now? That's the $1 million question. You just don't know until you get there. And
Pokemon's already survived 30.
yeah,
So that's the thing. I feel like that's definitely like to an extent our like GI Joe or Masters, where even if it's going to wane in popularity, it's still going to be put out. Pokemon's never going to die.
the cards, but what
Well-
about the figures?
Well,
Nope,
is
because
it
they're
Jax?
all compatible. I feel like it's the same thing. I feel like the cards are like a building block, and then toys are auxiliary.
Yeah.
So with the price of things going up, how sustainable do you guys feel with Lego with their Ultimate Collector Series where, they're over $1,000?
Yeah.
Wow.
How sustainable do you guys feel?
It's not. I'll come out and say it's not sustainable. I know with everything that just hit because of everything else, it was one of those things of I literally went through and like I don't put a lot of stuff on pre-order, but like I literally went through and I was just like, all right, I'm taking all of this off except for stuff that I know I can't like just go to a store and pick up, because I was like it's just you don't not knowing what the price point is going to be because of adjustments and such going on. It became a big thing.
I saw a weird
Thank
thing
you.
on Lego the other
Bye,
day.
Michael.
I saw something weird on Lego the other day. A lot of Walmarts are having them behind glass now. And
Yeah.
they've actually dropped in sales because I can get it. You don't want to sit there, wait 20 minutes trying to find somebody to unlock it for you.
Yeah.
But I feel like Lego and they're really high-end sets. They are more sort of cognizant of how they space them out. They kind of plan for that. Whereas like Marvel Legends, I feel like,
Bleh.
yeah, we're like Homer in that donut machine where
Yeah.
it's just like, here's this
Oh.
wave, here's this wave, here's this.
Now it's like you have the old Millennium Falcon.
Yep.
New one.
Yeah.
You as a business buy the old one.
Yeah.
try to resell,
And that's kind of like.
Okay. So, real quick, we only have 5 minutes left, so we got time for maybe one or two more questions, and I'm going to pitch it to these guys so they can let you know where to be found.
If that guy had his hand
Yep,
up.
he had his hand up first, then we'll get to you, Brett.
see a solution to add in internet shopping to the problem of discovery. When we were kids, you'd go down the aisle and look at the GI Joes that you'd see next to it. Here's these army ants.
Yeah. Dude, that was Snailians for me. Don't judge. One person knew who that was.
The thing they want to see.
That it's a huge struggle, and it's not just in toys.
And everything.
I've got 30 years in the grocery industry, and that's one thing the grocery industry is really fighting really hard right now is because think of all the impulse things. Think of this new chips that you've never seen before, and can you get that with aisles online or whatever from
Yeah.
Hy-Vee or whatever it may be? And there's a lot of work on that in that industry for sure, and no different than toys.
Online marketing's freaking wild too. Brett?
Yeah, well, like, one of my favorite toy lines of the last 15 years, I was all in on, and it was something called Disney Infinities, and it
Yep.
like, talked to video games, but I was like, man, these are the best sculpts. These
Yep.
are like little mini statues. And I finally like bought all all 6 of the Star Wars guys. I'm like, this is cool. And then boom, it was gone. And I was like,
Well-
how does a franchise that has Star Wars, Disney, Buzz Lightyear, all this nonsense
There-
just collapsed instantly? And it was like you said, it's like this was the big tie-in. It was
It-
going to talk to computers and stuff.
It was kind of corporate BS if I remember correctly, because
Yeah.
it was selling well, but not selling that well. So they went, done.
But it
And did it with
also,
this, but-
it started going south around the time Toys R Us.
Yep, closed.
Oh,
Well, they
Not
had
a
the
big
biggest
success,
displays
so
and everything.
Absolutely, yeah.
I think we're gonna wind it up there, but I want to throw it through the panel real quick. We're gonna start with Kyle, go to Daniel, end up with Land down there, and I'll wind us down. So, Kyle, where can people find you? What you got going on, man?
Yeah, just search Kyle Peterson on YouTube. I always say there's like 2 Kyle Petersons. There's a guy who gets stung by bugs, and then there's me. So one or the other. So you can find that. I have 2 channels, content every single day, and then yeah, Kyle Peterson Show, new podcast just dropped recently with my wife. So a lot of fun stuff going on. So
Heck yeah.
At any point in the podcast, you guys get stung by bugs.
we might do it this summer.
You can find me most places at actionfigureinsider.com. Just search on Action Figure Insider. And
Right
you'll
on.
find me everywhere because I've been on the internet for
Ever.
years.
Yeah, it's the same deal with me. Just Google land pits. I don't have a table. Like I'm running around making sure like people are being taken care of. I have a YouTube again, land pits. Mainly where I put my celebrity interviews and just I talk to McFarlane at Toy Fair. I mean, but I've Todd's on speed dial. Like he's easy to talk to.
That's right.
But yeah,
Still over on the couch.
Yeah, that's right. He's on the couch.
yeah.
You can find me I'm down on table 832. The Dave Wonder channels on YouTube and Twitch. I'm on there. Also, Known World United over on Extra Life. You can find me on Instagram at the Dave Wheeler. Everywhere else at Dave Wonder, Blue Sky, all that fun stuff. Yeah, it's gonna be fun. Thank you all for coming out. If you do want to talk toys more, swing by my table. I think these guys are gonna come down and hang for a minute. And yeah, thank you everybody for coming out and have some more fun at Des Moines Con. Thank you. You good weekend. Much love from Iowa. Anything you guys want to say?
About Iowa?
No, I don't know. This is just my stream. Yeah,
Oh,
Yeah,
thank you very much for watching.
yeah. Lan?
And I hope you enjoyed his channel.
One of the few non-Barbie very.
Okay.
Until the-
Bye.